What's up, Compete Training Academy family? Welcome to the Compete Mentality Podcast. The mission of the Compete Mentality Podcast is to motivate, educate, and inspire others to compete. No matter what area of life you are in, we are all called to compete. Our definition of competing is doing what God is calling you to do, even when it's hard. This episode of the Compete Mentality Podcast is sponsored by the Lewis Jackson and Jordan Delks Basketball School. Be looking for details coming in April on our social media avenues. It is now my pleasure to introduce former Boiler legend and current assistant coach at the University of Incarnate Word, my guy, Ryne Smith. Coach, thanks for hopping on with us today, man.
No, I appreciate you having me, man. Thanks.
Absolutely. And we'll just dive right on. And I got a couple questions for you to kick us off, man. And as trainers, Courtney and I, we love keeping people accountable. On the court, off the court with their nutrition and training in the weight room and everything like that. But trust me, man, we are big time foodies. We love our cheat meals. and I know you down at Incarnate Word, I'm sure you got some hot spots. So give us your go-to restaurant right now and describe what you would order to our audience, man.
Yeah, man. I think the place that really stands out for me is called Smoke Shack. It's right downtown in San Antonio. It's a barbecue spot, and it's unbelievable. Like I just kill my arteries and go to a 3-meat plate with like French fries. So that's my pick. But when you're in Texas, you can't leave out Whataburger. Like if you're in Texas and you don't stop at Whataburger, that's a problem. Like you got to do it.
I love it. That's fantastic. And also, just to dive in, Ryan and I, we met at Purdue when I was a student manager for Coach Painter. He had an unbelievable year, great senior leader for us, made 89 triples. I believe that was also top 5 in Purdue history as well. And Ryan, I just want to hear from you, like, who are the top 5 shooters to you in Purdue history, just to kick us off?
Yeah, so I'm glad I read your list, man, to prepare myself, so I wasn't caught off guard with this question. That would have been a tough one to not be prepared for.
For sure.
But I'm gonna have to go Rick Mount, number 1. Carson Edwards got to be number 2. Just the performance he had in the tournament a few years back was unbelievable, legendary. I'm gonna go Jerron Cornell, number 3.
Yes, love that one.
And 4 and 5, I'm stuck between 3 names. Like I can't disrespect my guy E'Twaun Moore. He got us so many wins.
Yep.
But then you got a guy like Ryan Cline and Troy Lewis in there too. Like Ryan Cline's performance against Tennessee was legendary amongst anything else that has happened in Purdue history. So I'm gonna cop out and say if I give you 6, does that work? Can I go with 6?
That works. Those are all man.
As a shooter, I can't disrespect anybody on that list. So I don't want to leave anybody off.
Man, absolutely. And I'm a 3rd generation Boilermaker. So, I mean, my family bleeds black and gold. And know all those names. Those are all great names. And it's very, very humble of you. And I may be a little biased being on the team when you were on the team. But I'm going to have to throw you in there. I remember going through just straight up individual workouts in the fall before the season. And this dude, Ryne Smith, I mean, I'm not kidding you, making 90% of his shots in an individual workout at least. So all you hoopers listen to this right now, like that's the level you need to be on. You want to be an elite shooter. So the humble of him to leave himself off. And but definitely you cannot go wrong with any of those names right there, man.
Hey man, the problem is though, those guys could do it with defense out there. You throw the defense on there, my percentage would drop. So that's why you got to leave myself off there. But no, man, it's a great list, man. It just shows the type of guys that Purdue has and has had. So it was actually fun to think about. It was actually I had to do some research, so to have those guys on there.
Absolutely. A lot of great shooters that wore the black and gold, no doubt about it. And Coach, just kind of give us your background, just kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So I grew up in Toledo, Ohio, and my dad was a coach. My dad is still coaching. So coach's son wanted to stay in basketball in any way I could. And actually, when I was going through high school, And I think this is good for your listeners to hear, is through my junior year, through the end of it, I had like zero, like when I say zero, I mean zero college letters. So like not one college was interested in me for basketball. So at that time, I was just kind of thinking, yeah, I'll just go to be a student, maybe be a, just a regular guy on campus. But the AAU season after my junior year was really good, really worked hard. I think I shot like 800 threes a day for like 3 straight weeks to prepare for the AAU season, and got hot in a couple of AAU tournaments, and then it kind of went from there. But very fortunate that Purdue saw me at the end of July in 2007, and took a visit to Purdue on like August 2nd of that year, right after the AAU season had ended, and Coach Payne had offered me, and I was like, this is a done deal. I don't even have to think about it. It'd be silly to pass up. So that's kind of, I got to Purdue, and then spent my 5th year as a student assistant coach there, learning from the best in the business. I think all 3 assistants that were on that staff are all head coaches now. So 4 if you include Coach Payne, and then got a head coaching job at a high school right out Clinton Prairie, and then bounced around a few high schools from there, and then was fortunate that Jack Owens, who coached me at Purdue, got the Miami of Ohio coaching job, offered me the ops position there, which I jumped on right away. It was a great experience with him. And then a couple summers ago, Carson Cunningham, who was also a Purdue guy, had a spot open on his staff, so I came down to be an assistant, try to move up that ladder as best I could.
Absolutely, and you are well on your way, Coach. And I want to dive into bits and pieces of what you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
From being a player to coaching and training and all the above. But let's rewind, and man, that just amazes me. It just defines what we talk about as competing, that you didn't have one letter at that time of life you were in. So tell us a little bit about that recruiting process and how you navigated that and then chose Purdue.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd deal. Like I kind of had a good tournament in the spring, had a couple, D2s, low majors on me, but no offers. And then we went to Cincinnati for the It Takes 5 tournament in the mid-July. And I think we played a team, and they sat in a 2-3 zone. I had 30 at halftime. So, and they weren't really a highly touted team. So, that was, we won that game. But then we went on, we played Texas Select, who's all, the highest rated recruits in the state of Texas were on the team that we were about to play. So like Roy Williams is sitting there, like Coach K is sitting there, like Bobby Huggins, all those dudes are like surrounding the court. Now, I played well. We ended up beating them. And I just played as hard as I could, played as solidly as I could. And then right from that tournament, I had a couple good more games there, but right from that tournament, we went to Louisville, and actually no Purdue coaches saw me in Cincinnati. Coach Lusk, who's now at Creighton in the Sweet 16, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Coach Lusk saw me in Louisville, and we were like so burnt out from the Cincinnati tournament. We went 0-4 in Louisville. Like, we were terrible. But Coach Lusk saw me, and like something must have stood out. And then I actually got home from Louisville. I stayed at home in Toledo for a day, and then flew out to Vegas. When I got home from Vegas, I had 2 feet of mail stacked on my kitchen table waiting for me when I got home. And my mom was like, Ryne, the mail lady is really ticked off. Like, she's like, we got to have a talk with her the next time she comes, because it was huge. So like from there on out, it was, Tubby Smith was calling, Coach Bray at Notre Dame was calling, and it was like very surreal. And I was, like I said, very fortunate that Coach Painter and Coach Lusk had reached out, and it just felt right at that point. It just felt like it was the right spot. They had the baby Boilers already signed and getting ready to tip off their freshman year. So wouldn't have changed anything for the world.
Absolutely, man. That's really cool. That's appreciate the insight into the details of your recruiting process. And I want to. This actually wasn't on the questions I sent you, but I want to dive into you being a high school coach in Indiana. Just kind of give us a snapshot of your experience being a high school coach in Indiana. Just describe it for us.
Yeah. No, it was special, man. It was special. We had a great, my first spot I stopped at was Clinton Prairie High School, and the guys that were on that team, I still communicate with daily. Like, it's a special experience. Like just the sectional and the lead up to it. And just how important it is to a small town in Indiana.
Exactly.
I really wasn't ready for it, but it really is special. I wouldn't have traded those experiences for anything. You learn a lot about yourself, a lot about communities in basketball communities. So those stops were really great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And kind of diving back into your recruiting process, obviously you recruit a lot of players, and I got a lot of players that I'm training right now that are navigating this recruiting process. So, what advice would you give them, and what are some qualities that you look for personally in recruits today?
Unselfishness is huge. Like you're seeing it right now, kind of with the transfer portal the way it is. And I'm not saying everybody that wants to transfer from a school is a selfish player, but like you got guys who are leading scorers on their team that were, a possession or two away from going to the NCAA tournament, who enter the transfer portal a day after their season's over. So obviously I don't know the ins and outs of every single situation, but the broader scope to me is like what you're looking for is people who are willing to give themselves to the program. There's so much bigger and so much things that are at stake that are higher than what your scoring, points per game is. What I look for is, are you willing to make the extra pass? Like if you get a pop pass, if you get a driving kick to the corner and someone's closing out to you and someone's wide open on the wing, are you making that extra pass? Are you taking a charge in an AAU game? Are you taking a charge in open gym? Are you really focusing on defense? Are you making the defensive rotations? Are you talking? And the biggest and first and foremost, are you boxing out? Which nobody likes to do. Like nobody likes to do that. That boxing out sucks. It's not fun. But if you can do that, it really, really helps your team win. So those little things are so important to help programs win. Like you watch a tournament these days, like those guys are boxing out every time. Every possession, people are trying to box out and hit bodies. Every possession, someone's trying to get in the right spot defensively. Every possession is trying to make an extra pass. So those little things are what help teams win.
Oh man,
and is really what you look for. Yeah,
absolutely. You're pulling my heartstrings talking about rebounding that way, man. And please tell me, Rebound War is alive and well down at UIW.
Oh, you had to bring it down here. We have to. You got to bring it down. That's Old Faithful right there.
That is. So, audience, Rebound War is a staple Purdue drill where it's literally a war. Ball goes up. There ain't no out of bounds. You see Ryne Smith pulling guys out of the front rows of Mackey Arena to get a ball. It's an impressive drill. It develops toughness and rebounding at its best, no doubt.
Yeah, and a quick little story now that it's March Madness. Like on my senior year, we were getting ready to play St. Mary's, and the NCAA, you probably remember this, gives you like an hour. They give you like an hour on the court you're about to play on of a shoot around. And really what it's supposed to be is get shots up, get yourself feeling the rims, the atmosphere. I think a couple teams would like take team pictures on the court or whatever. Coach Payne has us do Rebound War, like in that practice. So
remember that.
Looking back on it, it's like crazy that you do it. But you know what? We were ready to play and we beat St. Mary's with Matthew Dellavedova, and it's just it's a toughness drill, and it gets your sense of urgency up. That's for sure.
No doubt. That's a fantastic story. I actually forgot about that. That's fantastic. Coach, you've had a great career. Hot, young coach already in the business, having a successful career. What advice would you give an aspiring coach just getting into the business? I got a lot of players I'm training right now that specifically when I ask them, what do you want to do after it's all said and done? They say, I want to coach. What advice would you give them?
I would say, don't do that.
Don't do that to yourself.
No, don't do it to yourself. You're gonna end up, bald, gray, fat. You're just gonna be stressed. No. It's a truly rewarding profession. And the advice I would give, young coaches is when you get into this business and you have players there. I'm only 31, so I guess I'm still young. But these kids that come in that are 18, 19 year olds, they're just kids. They just want what everybody else wants. They want to build a relationship with someone that they can trust. So the thing I try to do is pick one guy out every single day in our program to just talk something that doesn't have anything to do with basketball, and just find out about their day, find out about their lives, what's family like back home. And I think doing that and building their rapport and the relationship with those guys is going to get them to trust you, is going to let them know that what we're working for really doesn't have anything to do with basketball. It has everything to do with making sure they're set up and to be successful when basketball is over for them. So I think that's really important. That's number one, is making sure they're getting good grades in the classroom, and then building that relationship with them, letting them know you'll always be there for them. And then I think things will play themselves out when it comes to, when the ball goes up.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And hold on to that, listeners. And Coach, I want to go back to a memory that's very specific in my mind. That we're going to IAF. Oh, it's hot. It's in the fall. Conditioning sucks. It's my job as a manager. I'm punching the horn. And I remember completing the very last sprint of that entire fall conditioning, and we get done stretching and whatever. And I remember you're just kind of, it was really cool for me to see. You're just kind of taking it all in, and you're like walking out the gym. You're the last one to walk out, and I remember you just kind of looking at the gym, and I'm walking out with you, and you're like, man, in 4 years, I never missed one sprint. And like, that's the definition of competing. Like, that just kind of gives me chills to even talk about that. 4 years of never missing a time. And like, just the mental toughness that took. Like, please give our listeners, like, how did you develop that mental toughness you had at Purdue? Obviously, you just didn't show up with it. Like, you had to develop that through your entire life. Like, tell us more about that.
Yeah, that's funny, a story. I think when we were walking out, I think you may have been going to do your job, and I think I may have just kept walking right to Harry's after the last sprint, but I don't know. Right. But no, just looking back on it, like, I think it just develops over time. I think my dad had a huge part to do with it. Like, if I would fall in a game, or you get hung up by an elbow across the head or something, you look around for a little sympathy, and I never got it. So I know, I kind of like instilled from a young age, like, hey man, you can battle through a lot, like a little ankle sprain, a sore arm, whatever, head injury, like really, you can battle through a lot. So I think that was instilled at a young age from me, from him. But I think, looking at it, and the conditioning was not easy. Like, it was a very difficult thing to do. And I just knew that I wasn't the type of player going into the Big Ten that was talented enough to just coast. Like, I wasn't talented enough to sit out 2 days a week. You know what I mean? I wasn't talented enough to just miss a time and have to redo it. And then that sticks in the coach's mind, like, hey, he's not making his time. I just didn't feel like I was a good enough all around player to not be solid in the aspects that I could control.
Sure. And I just, when I look back at your career, and that's such an inspiring advice and story right there. But when I look back at your career, just seeing you maximize your potential, that's got to be so gratifying for yourself. And when I evaluate and look at your career, like, and like I said, a third generation Boilermaker fan, like, that's us as fans, like, that's what we want out of our team. That's what we want out of our players. And that's something you can really hang your hat on. And Coach, we define competing as doing what God is calling you to do, even when it's hard, fighting through adversity, and that's why I love hoops, man. Like, it just teaches you so much about life. There's ups and downs all throughout life. Would you mind sharing with us a story of how you had to fight through adversity in your lifetime?
Yeah, I think, as a player, as a college player, you have adversity, and it's like, okay, I didn't play, right? I didn't play in this game. I thought I should have got minutes, but that's really not adversity. You know what I mean? That's just, okay, I got to go in and I got to work hard the next day. I think the thing that really stands out from my life was I was 27. So this was like 3.5 years, 4 years ago. Wasn't feeling well, was up all night, had some things going on. And then all of a sudden, like, my wife was like, I'm tired of hearing you complain. Like, you need to go to the doctor. I'm like, I don't need to go to the doctor. I'm a fighter. Like, I'll fight through that. I mean, it's no big deal. But a couple weeks went on, she goes, no, you need to go to the doctor. So we go to the doctor. They're like, sir, you need to go to the emergency right now. Your blood sugar is at 555. For those of you who don't know what that is, your blood sugar is supposed to be between like 80 and 120. So it was at 555. So out of nowhere, out of the clear blue, at age 27, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which was insane. So, like, at the time, my wife was like 6 months pregnant. Like, I'm about to have a child. All of a sudden, you get this disease. You're diagnosed. You're like, hey, man, I don't know what's going on. But I think the biggest thing was just like figuring it out. So once I had it figured out and got it under control and realized, hey, you got to work out every day. You got to watch what you eat. I think that was the biggest thing. And I think that's a very small thing on the grand scheme of life. Like people go through much worse, whether it's cancer, especially in these times, whether it's COVID, really battling something. So I really kind of look, it could have been much worse. But it wasn't. And it's just, hey, you're not sick. You just have something you got to deal with. So figure it out and you can live a long, happy life.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, that's I love the analogy you made of not playing in a game and then dealing with a real life situation. And Compete Training Academy audience, I hope you that puts things in perspective for you right now. No matter where you're at in life, we're all going through adversity, and I love this story that Ryne shared to inspire you today. And I hope you can learn a lot from that and keep pushing through what you're going through. It ain't no hill for a climber. Just keep climbing, just keep fighting, just keep pushing. Ryne, you're a leader of young men. You're around young men every single day. What is the number one quality you would say a leader needs to have? I think leadership, everyone says be a leader. Like coaches say that all the time. You got to be a leader, got to be a leader. But like, what is the number one quality you would say a leader needs to have?
Well, I don't know if there's just one word for it. But I thought there was a great saying. I can't remember who it said, but the head coach and the point guard can't have off days. Like you can have no off days if you're the point guard. And I just think that if you try to go in and you win, try to have a win, and each day you show up to practice or you show up to conditioning or whatever, weights or whatever, if you try to win that session and you string together wins, and working as hard as you can, you're going to be successful. But I guess to be a little bit more specific on the answer, I think it is on the court. If you can just be an extension of the coaching staff, right? And you can be vocal, but you can't be vocal if you're not practicing it. Like if you're not walking the walk, you can't say anything. You know what I mean? You have to be the guy that works hard every day, practices their butt off every single day, and then you can be vocal. I think vocal leadership is huge, is incredibly big in winning teams. Like again, you go and you watch this tournament that's going on right now. Those guys at every dead ball, they're huddling up together. There's all five guys. They're all locking arms and they're all in there. They're all talking. Like it's really something that I'm going to have to focus on as an assistant next year of making sure our guys do that. And really, as a player, when you go out there, you may not agree with the play that's called. You may not agree with what defense you're in, but as long as you do it to the best of your ability, you're going to be successful. I promise you that. Like it's just the way it is. If you're all on board, no matter what, no questions asked. I know it's hard sometimes, but if you can do that and then be vocal and be an extension of the coaching staff on the court in whatever situation you're in, it just puts you at such an advantage.
No doubt. And I remember just last night, we're in the barn training, and for you boys that were in the barn training in my high school class last night, y'all weren't talking, and we were doing a lot of push-ups because we weren't calling out names. We weren't counting shots like I was asking you guys to. And that's exactly what Coach Smith is talking about here right now. Great players communicate. I also love how you talk about just doing your job, being an extension of the coaching staff, being able to listen. I remember Coach Painter used to say, listening is a skill. Listening is a skill that not everybody has. Like Hoopers, like you have got to be a good listener. If you can listen to your coach, and just like Coach Smith is saying right now, then do it on the court. That is a skill set that not everybody has. And if you have that skill set, you'll find a way in just doing your job. Coach, this is a fantastic podcast, man. You gave me chills multiple times, and I really appreciate the time you've given us today. Just really appreciate you being on today, man.
No problem, man. Good luck to you guys.
Hey, Compete Training Academy, always remember that competing is doing what God calls you to do, even when it's hard.